Now, WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health.
Welcome into Purple Connection. I'm Alex Glaze. Ravens 5-5 on a 4-game winning streak. A big win on Sunday against the Browns. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Joining me, as always, we have Grace Grill. We have Tim Barbalas of 105.7 The Fan and Kyle Goon of the Baltimore Banner. Guys, listen, the narrative has really changed about this team. You know, a couple weeks ago, we were ready to sell this team for parts. Now we're talking playoffs and getting back in the dance here. Grace, just what stands out to you about where this team is at right now and the win yesterday?
I mean, it's kind of crazy. You're just thinking like, all right, they pulled it out, but on the other side, it wasn't pretty. So it's almost like, hey, Baltimore, this might just be a season where you're just going to have to get comfortable with ugly football if they're getting it done. Yeah,
it's just never pretty in the AFC North, but yesterday was a special kind of ugly. I mean, that was as rough of a game in the Lamar Jackson era, a win, I should say, that I can remember.
It was the second lowest passer rating of his career yesterday against the Browns. The lowest, coincidentally enough, came against the Browns back in 2021. But we were saying the whole week on 105.7 The Fan, if the Ravens don't turn the ball over, they don't have ill-advised penalties, Myles Garrett doesn't take over this game, the Ravens are going to win. But all of those things happened for the Ravens, and that made it very interesting. You had a muff punt by LeJontay Wester, a pick six, 3 turnovers overall, and Myles Garrett had 4 sacks. And it was ugly, but typically ugly things happen when they go to Cleveland, but this time they were able to find a way to win it.
Yeah, and Kyle, today, we had John Harbaugh talking, this team, their heads above water, well, at water, I should say, 5-5. I think that John kind of understands that, yes, they got the win, but there's still a lot of work to do. But, one of the things that I know stood out to you and me, just the offensive line, he just, for whatever reason, refuses to address the elephant in the room. That's a unit that's really struggling right now. The defensive line was struggling. They addressed that. They have a pass rush now that's very that's working for them. But that offensive line is a problem.
Yeah, it's not good. And I know they had some pretty good reps running the ball, and even Derrick Henry got some room a little bit in the interior running the ball yesterday. But on other reps, you just see those guys get bowled over. Myles Garrett having his way with pretty much every matchup, which you'd expect, but you have too many clips where those linemen, especially the offensive guards, Daniel Falele and Andrew Voorhees, are missing assignments, or even worse, blocking nobody, looking for somebody to block. On the Derrick Henry touchdown run, you have Daniel Falele kind of watching the play while Derrick is being pushed in by Zay Flowers, of all people. So John says it was pretty darn good. I guess maybe that's as good as they can get, and maybe that's why he's saying it. But I came away deeply unimpressed with the line, as I have been for several weeks.
It's seriously concerning. And now I think about it from Todd Monken's point of view, how much of the playbook is limited because of this offensive line and because of the fact that clearly Lamar Jackson isn't fully healthy. He's just not running at all right now. The deep ball passing attack has been non-existent this year. And, of course, Rashad Bateman was out of that game. But even when Bateman was healthy, they just weren't able to connect with him at all. This offense, it's unrecognizable compared to last year where they were prolific.
Well, yeah. And I know we're going to get into it later in What's the Word in the next segment with Lamar running, but that is something that stood out to me. Just to answer the question off the top of the show is just like, okay, is it injury? Is it they're thinking defenses have figured him out? We're seeing the Mark Andrews type play, which while it was fun and creative, that's normally maybe a situation too where Lamar's doing that, so it's just, I think that's why they haven't been able to find their rhythm, because it just looks so different without that wrinkle of Lamar and what made him so special.
I think what stood out to me too watching yesterday's game, Lamar is holding on to the ball for a long time, and where he might usually, we've become accustomed to him stepping up and taking those running lanes, he's now kind of retreating and stepping back into kind of the chaos that's going on behind him. And it's just kind of something I'd never really seen before. So I'm not really sure what was happening there. But Myles Garrett, not too much you could say other than I guess they tried, right? John Harbaugh said they did.
The headliner. I guess they tried.
John Harbaugh said they did everything they could. This guy's just an alien, right? 4 sacks. There's just nothing they could. Everything they tried to throw at him, he had an answer for. I mean, he's just on another level.
I think that was always going to be a tough. There were concerns about the offensive line coming into this game. I feel like that's such a hard, place to put them up against because you knew that was going to be hard with a guy like that.
Yeah, but it all came down to Ravens got the win, right? Like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's ugly.
I was just thinking, we're talking about all the negatives. I'd love to end this segment on a positive note, which is imagine going back to week 1 or week 3 or week 4 and saying, hey, the defense won the Ravens the game.
Crazy how this
such
season's
an evolution. And we've seen that over the last few weeks. And I know we're having a generational run of bad quarterback play against the Ravens, and it's going to continue next week. No offense, Tyrod Taylor. Loved watching you growing up, but it's going to be tough for you. But this defense has evolved to they are winning the game for this team, and I was very impressed by that.
Yeah, the defense obviously played a big role yesterday, but the game came down to a play we've never seen before. They call it Hurricane. Mark Andrews scoring his first rushing touchdown. The game tied with about 3 minutes to go. They run a fake tush push, and we've seen a variation of the fake tush push now for the second week in a row, but Andrews able to rip this one off, and it was just a part of a really special day for Mark Andrews, Grace. I mean, this is a guy, an all-time Raven, and now he's just getting the flowers from everyone. Already leads this franchise when we're talking about receiving touchdowns, receiving yards, and after next week, it's probably going to be receptions as well. When we're talking about Mount Rushmore of Ravens, Mark Andrews has a really strong case to be in that conversation.
I think everybody was watching that play call and was just like, oh my gosh, right? It was just exciting. It was a new wrinkle. You didn't expect it. It worked. That was the other exciting thing, especially kind of gutsy to call it in that situation with the game. That did put the game away. But you love this from Mark Andrews on a day where he did reach some records for receiving. I think I opened our Sunday night show and I was just like, hey, we're talking about all these records for him receiving, but he actually had more rushing yards yesterday than he did receiving. So just a really cool game for him to just have that, because he's been kind of quiet. This is a quiet season for him by his standards. So to have the game kind of be centered around him was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, and I will say, if someone who wasn't maybe surprised to see him take off like that, Kyle, when we're out there at practice, the one thing he's doing every day before practice starts is running those sprints full speed. He's running 60 yards, no ball. Look, right there. No one's throwing to him.
They clocked him at what? Just over 20 miles
an hour? Just over 20 miles an hour. I mean, he's 30-some years old, still rolling.
Outran that rookie linebacker they had over there.
It was the fastest speed of his career.
What I have to say, as a former sprinter, I could say this. He's turning his head too, checking to make sure no one's behind him. I like that. We've seen a couple balls get punched out, but he probably could have gone a little bit faster too. But kicking it into that fourth gear is really impressive, guys.
The win was he was going against the wind.
Didn't he get run down last year on a long catch? I want to say he got run down. Maybe he took that a little personal.
I mean, that doesn't. That's not surprising.
To cap Alex's point, I don't think anyone, especially in this segment, has ever accused Mark Andrews of dogging it at a practice. I've never seen it. If it's ever happened, that guy tries hard. You could make a stronger argument that Mark Andrews cares too much about how practice goes, and that is a detriment because that's how hard that guy works every time he's on the field.
Absolutely. Well, his big play is the difference in this one. The Ravens get the big win in Cleveland. Now 4 straight wins. They are 1 game behind the Steelers in the AFC North standings. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're playing What's the Word? Stay with us. More Purple Connection after this.
A Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. This is the Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health.
And welcome back to Purple Connection. I'm Alex Glaze. We're talking about Ravens' big win over the Browns, 23-16 the final there. The Ravens now 5-5. Crazy just how fast things can change. We were just ready to give up on this season just a few short weeks ago. But it's time now for What's the Word? It's not all pretty. It was an ugly win yesterday in Cleveland, so we got to start with a little bit of negativity. Grace, I'll start with you. Blank is the Ravens' biggest problem.
The Ravens. The Ravens continue to be the Ravens' biggest problem. They just, the offense is rolling and then the defense can't figure it out. Now the defense is rolling and now the offense is struggling. It's just like, oh my gosh. And then the turnovers, there's just so many things. It wasn't pretty, but a win is a win, ugly or not.
Right now, the Ravens' red zone offense is the biggest problem. And it's shocking to say because they were first in red zone offense last year. They're 29th in red zone offense this year. Derrick Henry is the worst short yardage running back in the NFL this year, which is shocking. Lamar's passer rating in the red zone, 78.2, 32nd out of 34 qualified quarterbacks. It doesn't make any sense when you consider the personnel, but their red zone offense has been terrible this year.
And Kyle, I'm going to say the offensive line, and I can get more specific and say the right side of the offensive line, and I can get more specific, but I won't right now. But it's really just, I think Tim kind of touched on it earlier, and I think there's something to it being so bad that it limits what Todd Monken is able to do. I mean, Derrick Henry's getting touched in the backfield more than almost any running back in the NFL. They can't run the ball in short yardage situations. They're struggling in the red area, and it all comes down to not being able to block a soul.
Yeah. First of all, Grace wins this game from the outset. The Ravens are the biggest problem.
Point for Grace.
But I'm going to say gaffes. I'm going to say yakety sacks type Looney Tune stuff that happened yesterday. LeJontay Wester muffing a punt out of nowhere. The interception off of Keaton Mitchell's hands. The interception. Lamar has this amazing streak of like never having an interception that is actually from his hand to the defender. It just always comes off of somebody's hands, always dinks and donks off of something. That was so weird yesterday. I was like for sure confident in the fourth quarter the Ravens are going to figure out a way to lose that game. And it was a credit to them that they overcame their own gaffes and won.
One interception going into the game, and now Lamar has 3. So he more than tripled his season total there. All right, we're talking Lamar still, but now let's talk about his legs a little bit. Lamar Jackson's lack of running is what, Grace?
I say questionable. I mean, to Tim's point earlier, I mean, you talk about, okay, why isn't this offense rolling? You say, okay, it's the O-line. They don't have a lot of faith in it. But you look at Lamar, I mean, we're not seeing him scramble the way that we are used to seeing. I think going into Sunday's game, he was being pressured on 40% of his dropbacks and only scrambling for 8% of that. And it's just like, okay, well, why? Because that was a huge part in this Ravens offense, and that's what made him so dynamic.
I would just say concerning because he doesn't look right now. It just looks a little off, and you wonder about his trust in the offensive line as well to go along with that. But yet a couple of the design runs at the beginning of that football game, they never went back to it. And what does that say? Obviously, he's coming off the hamstring injury when he returned against the Dolphins. He missed practice last Wednesday due to a knee injury. He's not right. And you can get away with it now, but if they play games in January in the playoffs, they're going to need his legs.
Kyle?
Yeah, I'm going to use a word you used a minute ago, Alex, and say limiting. I think it just really closes some huge parts of the playbook. It gives Derrick Henry some space to operate. They're getting a little bit of that now with Keaton Mitchell and his mobility. But Lamar, the guy who touches the ball all the time, the guy who makes this offense super unpredictable. I mean, Myles Garrett was just teeing off on him in the pocket, and that's just not the kind of passer that Lamar Jackson has been in the past.
I'm going to take this a different direction. I'm surprised I'm the only one here. I'm going to say it's fine. I don't have an issue with it. I'm going to say that Lamar, they have so many weapons offensively. Lamar doesn't need to be the type of player that he was 5 years ago. They don't need him to do that. He's proven that he has the arm talent to take this offense to new heights. And to be honest with you, I mean, this is a guy who is coming off a hamstring, who has been dealing with knee soreness and some lower body issues. So we've seen what this team looks like without Lamar Jackson. So the best way to keep him healthy is to keep him upright. And running is probably not in the best interest for him or for this Ravens team. So I'm fine with Lamar not running as much as we're used to seeing.
The only point I'd make to counter that is in the past, Lamar was mobile enough where if you had a poor offensive line, and I don't think the Ravens interior was all that great last year, but Lamar doing his stuff behind the line helps overcome that, helps make that less.
So we're talking about maybe staying in the pocket and not changing the pocket as much, because I think that there's something to that maybe, because he was doing a little too much forward and back, north-south movement instead of east-west. So I agree with you there.
That's a good word, fine. It's definitely different when a guy says it versus when a girl says it, huh?
Fine. All right, last one, guys. Kyle, I'll start with you. After Sunday, I feel blank about the Ravens' playoff chances.
I feel somewhat ambivalent. I don't know if I really totally believe that the Ravens are ready to contend with a real team. And the games I look at the end of the year are the Packers at in Green Bay and at Pittsburgh. And those two games are going to be really tough if the offense is at its current level, if the red zone offense hasn't figured it out. I think Lamar will get better hopefully as the season goes on and gets more of a rhythm. But these guys have got to be better than we saw Sunday.
Yeah, Kyle, I think you hit the nail on the head. My word was going to be unconvinced. While you could go two ways with this, where you're hopeful because they did find a way to win that game, but I'm not convinced that they win that against a better team where they're not switching out rookie quarterbacks.
I'm going the opposite. I'm going to go confident with it, and in large part because the defense is playing at a much better level. I get it. The opposing offenses and the quarterback play has not been great, but it's more so how I feel about this division. It's how I feel about the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, he's probably going to miss this upcoming week. He has the fracture in his non-throwing wrist. It's Mason Rudolph in there. Their defense has really been struggling. The Bengals are just done at this point. And I think the Ravens end up winning the division. Now, how far can they go in the playoffs? Much different question.
That's where I'm at.
I'm surprised that I'm going to be the most positive one up here. I feel great. I feel great about their playoff chances. Listen, the path is simple. Win the AFC North. And we're talking about a team that in a division with Dylan Gabriel. You just swept the Browns. You got to play the Bengals twice. But guess what? You're probably not going to see Joe Burrow for one of those games. And then we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, who has a broken bone in one of his hands. I mean, the path is simple. Win those 5 games, I think, right? 5? I don't know my math right now. But win those games, 4. And you're going to make the playoffs. And then once you're there, we're talking about a playoff picture right now. Patrick Mahomes is going to be sitting on his couch if we were talking about the playoffs right now. So with the Ravens. But, their path is not as simple as the Ravens because they are way back in their division standing. So we're talking about a team that could go in, and once you're in the dance, anything can happen. They could be hosting a game, and then anything can happen, guys. So I'm feeling pretty great.
I would say unconvinced about going forward in the playoffs. Do I think they can win the division? Yes. And I feel confident in the first part of my answer saying because they were able to pull out those games. But how far after?
You guys are acting like you've never seen
Grace
the
isn't
Ravens.
Going to let me be. She's not going to let me out positive her. How about that?
You guys are acting like you've never seen the Ravens playing Pittsburgh. I don't care if there is a pig wearing lipstick playing quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. When I see the Ravens win in Pittsburgh, I'll be amazed and astounded, especially at the level.
And Kyle, I get that, but I'm also just thinking about their schedule. They're heading to Chicago. They still got to play the Bills. They still got to go to Detroit. It's more so everything else, not as much the Ravens. It's everything else.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we got game day advice. And, we have our league checkup, actually, when we come back. A lot happened in the league yesterday. So stay with us. More Purple Connection after this.
The Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. The League Checkup, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
And welcome back to Purple Connection. It's time for League Checkup. A lot happening yesterday around the league. Of course, the big news in the AFC, Aaron Rodgers breaking a bone in his left wrist, his non-throwing wrist. So that's obviously a big storyline, especially here in the AFC North. How about this? The Broncos beat the Chiefs to take a 2-game lead in the AFC West. The Jaguars blow out the Chargers at home. And the NFC, the Rams, hold off the Seahawks in a showdown there. Grace, what stood out to you yesterday?
Obviously, just staying in division there, Aaron Rodgers with the Steelers, and then you are going to be relying on Mason Rudolph. You don't know the extent of how serious that is yet, but that sticks out from a Ravens perspective. But also just the continued parity in this league of teams that have no business blowing out other teams, and then they come in and do that. That's why it makes you feel unsafe because it's those teams should have won, and then and it's not just short wins, it's blown out,
It's got to be the Broncos for me, where Andy Reid coming off a bye was 22-5 or 3 heading into that game yesterday against the Broncos. They lose that game in a game in which they were favored by 3.5 points. Everybody's thinking, okay, Kansas City's going to win, and then they're going to go on a run, end up winning the division. Well, now they're way behind the 8 ball. And last couple of years, how great they've been in one-score games. They're 0-5 in one-score games in 2025.
Kyle, until the boogeyman, a.k.a. Patrick Mahomes, is for sure home, I will not believe that the Chiefs are done. I just can't. I cannot wrap my brain around there being a postseason without Andy Reid and the Chiefs and 15 just finding a way to get it done.
Alex is the meme of going to my hater's funeral to make sure he's dead. He's going to go to Kansas City, make sure they don't make the playoffs. I want to give a shout out to the Herbert family. Patrick Herbert, practice squad tight end.
Who knew?
Jacksonville Jaguars winning the Family Bowl.
Who knew that Justin Herbert had a brother? That just like dropped on social media. Like I saw a picture and I'm like, oh wait, what is this? Who is this? I thought it was AI.
Wild. That's my favorite NFL story this week that I had no idea going in, and I learned that Justin Herbert has a brother who plays for the Jaguars, and historically, Jaguars do bad things to the Chargers. I don't know if you know. So congratulations to Patrick Herbert, practice squad tight end, lapping up the family victory.
Yeah, and I know, the Chargers, obviously, in the mix when we're talking about playoff teams, we're talking about bad offensive lines. They're pretty banged up, but that's a bad offensive line. Justin Herbert, he has no answers. There's nothing they can do offensively to remedy that. So you got to feel a little bit for the Chargers in the way it looks like their season's going to be going.
For sure. And it's, you really don't know what to make of them, right? Like them, like a lot of teams, like you were saying earlier, Grace, it's like they look great one week and then you lay an egg in Jacksonville. And I know it's tough, West Coast team going east, playing that in that 1 o'clock window, but geez, that was brutal.
Well, as a Kamani Vidal fantasy owner, not too happy with the performance yesterday, I can tell you that. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap things up and get to our question of the week. Stay with us. More Purple Connection after this.
The Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. And now, Game Day Advice, brought to you by Rice Law. For the best advice, call Rice.
And welcome back to Purple Connection as the Ravens get ready for the Jets. We have some game day advice, and this one's pretty simple, guys. Win in the trenches. We're talking about a Ravens team that kind of has some things to figure out on both sides of the ball here. The Browns sacked Lamar Jackson 5 times. Myles Garrett, 4 of those sacks right there. The pass blocking ranks 26th in the NFL according to PFF. And the Ravens ranked 28th in QB pressure rate on the defensive side of the ball, and they have the 4th fewest sacks in the league. We're talking about the gauntlet of quarterbacks that this team is going to have to face. Up next is Tyrod Taylor. So you get another backup quarterback in there, guys.
Yeah, but with that last sack one, they doubled their season total the other day. So there's
So yeah, that's what we're looking for here. All right, let's bring up our question of the week before we get out of here. And in the theme of Thanksgiving, of course, you had to make it Thanksgiving themed a little bit. As a Ravens fan, what part of this team or organization are you most thankful for? Make sure you reach out to us on WJZ social media channels. We want to hear from you. Always want to check in with the people, see what you're thankful for. A lot to be thankful for over this last month of the Ravens season.
I am most thankful for the players that day in and day out in that locker room, even if they don't want to talk, they still talk to the media. So shout out the good guys.
Yes.
Us as media members, we appreciate you.
Yes. I think that's mine too. Kyle, what are you most thankful for?
I'm thankful for some under the radar pickups. I mean, Cheeto yesterday with that pass breakup, and then a guy who I think is helping fix the battle in the trenches, Draymond Jones. Man, he's been really impactful the last 2 weeks.
And
really
he talks
impressed
to the
and
media.
thankful that we have something interesting and dynamic to talk about.
Thankful for the defensive turnaround. You've gone 5 straight games without giving up 20 points, and your first 5 games you gave up 37 points in 4 of those 5. So it's been a lot more watchable defense over this past month.
You know what? I am thankful for all of you, for you guys. You know, every Monday we're here, we're talking, so I'm just going to keep it real simple and thankful for everybody here.
I will add on the note of Thanksgiving, I was at a really cool event tonight with the Ravens in the community. They were at different spots around the area today giving out turkey, so it was really cool to see, and it was all player funded, which is really
Love that.
Awesome.
Love that. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's Purple Connection. For Tim, Grace, and Kyle, I'm Alex Glaze. We do the show every Monday during the season. We'll be back next Monday. Enjoy the week.
Congrats, Mount Hebron.